okay, I'm going to go ahead and play. You can't be a 7-foot tall, 310-pound guy like Shaquille O'Neal, and then all of a sudden say, I identify as a woman, so I'm going to play in the WNBA. You can't do that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You can't do that. In basketball, you would just totally dominate. In boxing or wrestling or MMA fights, somebody's going to get hurt. You can't do that. Anyway, Rogan was almost not allowed on that platform, not allowed in their library because of that, which leads to the next thing I wanted to talk about, and that's the Senate hearings. And I've mentioned this a long time ago, okay? And this is something that's going to happen. This is something that's going to be a reality. And we need to turn that off here. Okay. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. The phone rang. But it wasn't a caller to call in the show, I don't believe. But anyway, what was my train of thought? Oh yeah, this Senate committee on the Senate hearing on free speech, and this is this is a group of people, and it's Zuckerberg from Facebook, it's Tim Dorsey from Twitter, and it's Sundar Pichai from Google. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But these are the heads of those three social media companies. Well, social media being Facebook and Twitter, Google being the search engine of choice for just about everybody. But bottom line is, this Senate Commerce Subcommittee, they're grilling these guys because by law, social media does not have to practice free speech. They can censor as they like. And for some reason, they were giving this freedom. And I think because social media is different now than it was back then, it wasn't a big deal. And now they can pick their stories. Most recently, the New York Post had a story about Hunter Biden and his laptop, and how he left his laptop with somebody and he didn't pick it up, and all this Ukrainian stuff was made public. Facebook and Twitter banned that. They said, fake news. No, actually, it wasn't fake news. And not only that, but you couldn't say, hey, the New York Post has reported that. That would be an accurate statement. Now, it turns out that there's a whole lot of truth, if not 100% truth, to this New York Post story. But basically, Facebook and Twitter banned it. In fact, the Trump's press secretary mentioned it, and that tweet was banned. So you're banning the United States press secretary because they said something that you don't like. That, my friends, is wrong. Now, to be fair, Twitter has since put that stuff back up. I've made this prediction quite some time ago, and I will stay with this prediction. Sometime in the near future, Google, Facebook, Twitter will all be broken up because of antitrust. I mean, they broke up the Bells because of antitrust. They broke up Standard Oil of Ohio because of antitrust laws. And antitrust laws in this country are made not because they don't want business to get too big because other businesses can't compete. That's part of it. But most important, the government doesn't want business to be so big that they get bigger than government. Because if a business gets too big, it can go ahead and interfere with the government, interfere with what. If it becomes bigger than government, then the government's not the biggest thing. The government's not in charge anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that can happen. The other thing is, Zuckerberg had a point, and he basically said, "Look, here's the deal. The Democrats want us to censor more. The Republicans want us to censor less. What do? So Zuckerberg has a point there, okay? In my opinion, anybody should put anything on there that they want. Let the people go ahead and decide what is right and what is wrong. But what cannot happen, but what does happen, is that they ban the people who they don't like what they say. Now they'll say, well, there's no hate speech allowed on our formats. Okay, well, what's hate speech? A lot of times, hate speech is what you don't agree with. Okay, so I mean, you could ban Alex Jones, but you don't ban Antifa. Okay, there's Antifa websites out there. Now, if Antifa's not hate speech, what is? Okay, so you cannot pick and choose. Now, for those of you who say, well, they're a private industry. A private business can do whatever they want. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. In a way, that's true. But Google, Facebook, and Twitter have become so big. They've become so big that they're like a utility. Okay? And what I mean by that is, let's say you're a white supremacist. Okay? You're a horrible person. You say horrible things. You stand for horrible stuff. Can Ameren decide not to give you electricity service to your house? Of course not, because they're the electricity provider. Now, others will say, well, if they don't like Google, they can go ahead and just search on DuckDuckGo or Bing, because there are other search engines out there. And that's true. There are other search engines out there. But not really. There's not really other search engines out there. The true search engines, the only real search engine out there is Google. They have the vast majority of service. Facebook, same way. It's really the only social media site. Now, don't say, well, you can go to MySpace. That's it. No, you can't. Twitter, same way. Okay. Now, what other people can say is, well, you don't have to go ahead and go to Twitter. You don't have to go to Google. You don't have to go to Facebook, which is true. You don't have to go to Ameren either. I mean, you can go ahead and manufacture a steam generator and generate your own electricity if you want to, but nobody does. Okay. The dirty little secret is, if you become so big that people have little or no choice but to use your business, your service, you're then broken up. And that is what's going to happen. Mark my words, Facebook, Google, Twitter will all be broken up. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to cease to exist. That doesn't mean that they're going to not be around anymore. That doesn't mean that they're going to make them close their doors. Like the Bells, like Standard Oil, they'll make them break up bits and pieces of their company. Okay. With Google, they may make them the algorithm, the magic algorithm that Google uses to go ahead and search for what they search for. They may make, okay, that's public knowledge. Okay. You have to do that now. You have to make it available to anybody else. Okay. Now, what's to prevent Google from making an algorithm that's even better than that one? Probably nothing. Or they make them with Facebook. They may break them up into different categories, like Standard Oil of Ohio was broken up into several different oil companies. The Bells were broken up into regional phone companies. Okay, so it's not that these companies are going to go broke. It's not that they're not going to be able to make any money anymore, but things will be different than they were before. They've just gotten too big. Andrew Carnegie with his steel company, they had to break up the steel business because he ran all the steel companies. Okay. That's going to happen. That's my prediction. One day, in the not too distant future, those companies are going to be broken up. The only other alternative is that they open it up to anybody to say anything that they want. And if they do that, they'll lose even more credibility. But anyway, very interesting, very interesting. And we'll see what happens. But I found that to be the story of the week, actually, that really was not reported on like I thought that it would be. Well, that's it. We're done. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Send me an email. Many ways to get the podcast. Well, you can watch it like some of you are, like about 5 of you are, according to my Facebook Live. You can watch it, but The best way, though, is to send me an email. Send an email to jamesstrongshow@hotmail.com. That's the email address, jamesstrongshow@hotmail.com. Okay? That's the email address. Send me your email address. I will send you a link to the podcast after it drops. You can download it and listen to it at your leisure. Elections on Tuesday. If you haven't voted and if you've done your research, please do vote. Have a good weekend. Have a happy hour if you want to. Send me your pictures too. I'd love to see them. Until next time, this is James Strong saying adios.